as crazy as this day has gotten and, will continue to be, I would like to remind everyone that all over the world there are deeply serious things going on and deeply serious issues that we all need to tackle, both on a political level, on a personal level, on an environmental level, and all these things. And being miserable and all knotted up and full of anxiety is not the best position for you to be able to handle these kind of challenges. You are not at your creative best. You do not come at problems with your best self if you are overwhelmed by the problem by any means. So, what I try to do here for you is introduce you perhaps to a different take on some of these issues, provide you with some information, and all the while have a reasonable level of fun in the process so that we can take some of the power out of those things, give it back to ourselves, and then perhaps when we are confronted with a challenge, not cower and collapse before it as a sign of our virtuous humanity and look how good I am at recognizing a threat. It's scary. Therefore, by being scared and falling apart, I am showing you that I'm a good person. That's not helpful. As a matter of fact, I would rather have you at your strong and capable self. It is precisely why, by the way, that doctors, coroners, first responders of all sorts, police, EMTs, firefighters, often have a very sort of gallows humor about things. You know, they make jokes about things that in the walk around world would be seen as slightly insensitive, because they actually deal with these things all the time. And if they constantly gave power to those things or didn't take some of that power back for themselves by diminishing it with mockery and comedy and allowing themselves to take their emotions off the hook for a moment, they'd be no good to anybody. They would, I mean, all of these serious undertakings require some level of gallows humor. Otherwise, you're going to collapse into a mess. And right now, by the way, I do have some good news for you. I mean, there's a lot of good news. Hold on, let me. Don't play this clip at all. I don't want you to play that clip. I don't want you to. I insist you don't, actually. That both sort of extremes of the political spectrum are very upset right now. The like really fringy types, and I don't mean like, you know, a little too far left or a little too far right. I mean the absolute cuckoo bananas, crazy go nuts, hyper fringy left and right are currently losing their shit. And there's a good reason for that, because the rest of the world is recognizing that complicated issues with a lot of moving parts are being handled and decisions are being made. And while there is no perfect solution, they are moving forward. And the perfect solution only folks are having a hell of a time right now. Yeah, they are in full on panic mode. I'm checking to make sure my mixer is on. Apparently everything. Maybe do PC people deal with this all the time? I double click something on my Mac, opens. I double click something on my PC, it goes. Are you sure you want to open that? Would you like to double click that again? Perhaps double clicking, if you would like it. Well, I did double click that. Yeah, but did you really mean it? I didn't feel it. I mean, come on. Everyone's gonna freak out, but us Texans, right? Well, you know, that's a serious issue, and it's a crazy law. Like the example, what's going on in Texas right now? Obviously, you know, insane, anti-woman, you know, all this pro-life nonsense is bullshit. They obviously don't care about kids once they're born. It's silly. It's a silly law. It's an inserious law. And it's written with crayons and hammers, and it will fall apart the way it came in. And the first 3 of these charges that show up, people will sue Greg Abbott for damages because they were automatically by court awarded something like there will be hundreds of people suing in Texas courts. They will be all clogged up, and the whole thing will. I am predicting that the structure of this law and how it is carried out is a bunch of insanity, and we will all watch that happen. It will be as functional as the Texas power grid during a winter storm. And the people who wrote, those laws and drafted them, put them in, and thought, oh, this would be a great workaround to end people's constitutional rights. I have a couple of, just a couple of things for you. One is, you know how we talked about how the dude who wanted ivermectin and a judge ordered a doctor to give him ivermectin treatment, even though the doctor was like, yeah, that's for fucking horses or scabies, and you are and have neither. You are not a scabie, and you do not have horses, was the doctor's response. And the Texas, or whoever that doctor was like, yeah, you have to give it to him. Arkansas or some shit like that. And you do not realize, most of us recognize that the legislature and the judiciary and the executive branch of government are one and the same. They are a trinity of governing bodies, but they are the government. The judiciary is the government. It interprets the law in its application. It is part of the government. A judge is part of governing and governance, okay? So right now, you have maggot anti-vaxxers filing lawsuits to make it so that the government can force their doctor to give them medicine that their doctor doesn't want to give them now, or thinks is in their medical practice thinks would be ill-advised or dangerous or what have you. Now, the obvious slippery slope, if we want to follow, all these, like the 2A fellas, they're all like, sure, first they come for our anti-tank weapons, then you can't even carry a sidearm while following all the rules and getting a concealed carry permit. It's going to be a slippery. They're going to walk up to our house and seize our guns, and there won't be anything. Okay, slippery slope. The minute you're like, what do you mean you can't have anti-tank ammo? That's a slippery slope to no one being able to hunt with a shotgun, right? They're always talking about how any movement on Second Amendment, infringement, meaning, you limit anybody's, like the assault weapons ban, is automatically going to lead to no more guns in the whole country, right? They talk about this all the time. And yet don't seem to be able to apply this thought, which seems very logical, to that if you make a law or a legal precedent so that the government can override your doctor and insist you be given a pill that you want, they can also override your doctor to give you a pill you don't want. Because, that is one legal step away, and there's no arguing that they're the exact same thing. If the government thinks the pill is better for you because you think it's better for you, they can also think the pill is better for you because you don't think it's better for you. And if anything is going to, I said this yesterday, but if anything is going to lead us to being chipped by the government or the New World Order or the Illuminati or any of that shit, it's going to be this lawsuit where this dude got the government to tell his doctor to give him ivermectin. That's how you set these laws up. Okay. So fast forward to the Texas law that allows anybody in the whole fucking country, you don't have to live in Texas, to sue anyone in a chain of behaviors that led you to get an abortion after 6 weeks, which is not illegal in Texas, but can civilly be made illegal basically by suing it out of existence. You can sue someone's right out of existence with this law. The idea that this only pertains to abortions on a legal level is ludicrous. So, anybody in the country, technically speaking, and test cases would prove this if this whole thing lasts at all, that if someone drove someone somewhere who didn't believe in vaccines or masks, and they gave COVID to that person, and that person died of COVID, and they can just contact trace it, everyone along the way, whether they knew that was going to happen or not, because this law is that poorly written, could sue 10 people, anybody, if you live in Oregon, you live in California, you live in Ohio, Nebraska, you can sue 6 Texans that, picked the guy up, drove him over there, gave him a handkerchief, offered him a mask, and when he turned you down, still let him come inside. And then the person who opened the door for him wherever he went into the store and coughed all over everybody. Because every person that is killed by this asshole anti-masker or anti-vaxxer giving people COVID, second, third tier down, by the way, there are no second and third tier abortions. You have an abortion, it's just you. Abortions aren't contagious, but you give COVID to somebody that gives COVID to somebody that gives COVID to somebody and they die, you would legally, based on this law, be on the hook for that because you knew and they knew and they knew and they didn't care. And so legally speaking, because everybody that you would presumably kill with COVID or any other infectious disease is older than a 6-week-old fetus. Pretty much guaranteed. If they're alive and walking around, unless they're Benjamin Button, they're over 6 weeks old. In utero, 6 weeks old. Same thing applies to a gun law. So in Texas, I mean, honestly, what is a gun but an abortion machine? Your life was supposed to be 70 years, but now it ends at 37. Right? That's what a gun does. It's an abortion machine. It's a handheld, multi-abortion machine. And Texas is well known for its love of making sure that gun is super loaded with abortions. Like one abortion per bullet. That's the right. So if you need to do a lot of abortions that day, whether it's like cops or ATF officers or Customs and Border Patrol, or if or you're the alleged good guy when a bad guy shows up and you want to abort the bad guy, but also abort anybody who's downrange from you in the food court of the mall. Right. Texas loves their big walk around abortion machines. And I don't think anybody would argue that ending a life, if it's not directly in self-defense, not pro-life. Stray bullets, not pro-life. So if you knew that person had a gun and they were willing to use it, and you gave them a ride someplace and they fired at somebody that was even a bad guy with a gun, but in the process they killed some innocent people, aren't you on the hook? What's the difference? Honestly, what is the difference? What is the material difference between aborting a fetus in this regard and being able to sue everyone in the chain and being able to sue the gun shop? I mean, if you're going to sue an abortion clinic for giving someone an abortion that they constitutionally have a right to have because of Roe v. Wade, then why can't you sue every gun shop in Texas that sells a gun to someone who uses it to kill someone, to abort that life? Explain to me. Where's the legal difference? That person was going to have a life past this date. You ended it. I mean, aren't gun shops ultimately abortion clinics? I mean, how else would you describe it? I mean, you might be aborting. I mean, the chances of it, like say in an abortion clinic, that unless you're in Rosemary's Baby, that a baby is going to, choke the shit out of you, stab you, kill you in a domestic violence act or something like that is fairly slim. But that's where the differences end. If you are loading up to take a life to protect your life for any reason, I mean, what is the accusation that people use why people are getting elective abortions? That they financially can't handle it? Well, if you can't financially afford to be robbed, that would be your reason for shooting someone. So how is that not an abortion? I can't afford the financial burden of you taking my wallet, bang. Right? Yeah, again, I probably have to put this up. Hold on. Everybody's making a really good point. So I'll put this over here. So give me 1 second. Just in case anybody is thinking, that I'm recommending this as a as a as a functioning way of handling your problems. I'm making this parallel. Gun shops are abortion clinics. Guns are abortion machines. They are designed. The only reason they survive and why nobody calls them out on this bullshit is because, in theory, you're aborting a grown person. So pro-life kind of ends at the tip of your barrel. And don't get me started on licensed, law-abiding gun owners who are licensed, law-abiding gun owners until they open fire in the theater, at which point they are no longer a licensed, law-abiding gun owner. They are now a licensed, law-breaking gun owner who is deciding that they need to abort a few people in a movie theater or a church, or their ex-wife or ex-husband, or someone their ex-wife or ex-husband paid them to get rid of. Gun shops are abortion clinics. Change my mind. And while you're at it, I, for example, am against the death penalty. But I am not against the death penalty because I don't think that some fuckers deserve to be removed from the earth. Clearly, that's true. But when you get into a situation where you could be wrong and you weren't there, and even though you have 12 jurists and you have a good case by the state and you got everything but, a smoking gun and video of it happening, there's a chance you could kill an innocent person. And therefore, best to just put them in a room and hang on to them forever, which is pretty miserable to begin with if they deserve to be put there. But you always have the chance to let them out, give them $12 million and go, sorry for the inconvenience. We've got to go look for the person that we didn't catch. So I'm against the death penalty because of its impracticality, its immorality, and the very chance that it could kill someone who doesn't deserve it, and better I guess, lock up 12 innocent people rather than put one of them to death, right? And when someone is talking about like self-defense, for example, I'm on your side. If you're going to arm your house, you're going to even carry concealed and go through all the process because your life is in danger or something like that, and you really feel concerned for your safety and you go through the process, I'm not necessarily against that either. But if you use that as a pretext to sell junk guns in in the parking lot of a dollar store in Cleveland to a bunch of dudes who are just gonna shoot somebody, in a school and then throw the fucking gun in the lake, that's when I have a problem with you as a licensed, law-abiding gun owner, because you're only that because you haven't been caught yet. So, congratulations, Texas, on making it entirely legal to sue gun shops, gun salespeople, ammo salespeople, any Uber driver who drives someone to a place where they shoot up a store, anybody who taught them how to use the gun, any training they went through, any range. I guess you could sue any range they go to where they practiced, right? And then, of course, good luck enjoying the fact that that anyone in the nation can now sue anyone in Texas for passing COVID or any other infectious disease that leads to their death. Because, well, I guess technically speaking, they wouldn't have to die. It could just be injury. If you give someone the flu and they miss a week of work, why don't you owe them for $10,000 legal fees and the money they would have made that week at work, right? So, I'm not saying that Greg Abbott and the entire Texas legislature and both of their senators are fucking morons. I'm showing you that they are. By the way, welcome to the show. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. As opening rants go, it's pretty rock solid. I can't wait to see what the Second Amendment absolutists in the say in the comment sections when this becomes a clip. And they're like, the slippery slope, the gun, they're going to take our guns. You mean your abortion machine? They're going to take your abortion machine? Well, some abortion should happen. Ah, I see, you're not a Christian, you're a Darwinist. Well, we have it. And that is where the horseshoe overlaps.